Welcome back to the Fit Life Orange County podcast. I'm your host, Jake Stewart. Today we have a very, very special episode. I'm interviewing our very own intern coach, Nancy, who has been an intern here in Mission Viejo for just about 10 weeks at the time of filming. It's a really awesome episode. She talks through her fitness story, as well as her story becoming an intern and then learning the ins and outs of the fitness business. So I'm so excited for you guys to get to see it. Without further ado, let's jump right into it.
Here is Bryce Henson and Jake Stewart, your host of the Fit Life Orange County.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm here today with Nancy, and I'm really excited for y'all to hear her story. Nancy, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for sitting down with us today. Let's start off. So just give us a little introduction, kind of who you are, what you do, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me today, Jake. And, I am, a mom, a busy mom, a working mother. I've also am a fitness enthusiast, wearing many hats. I'm also a community leader and I mentor. So I'm quite busy, but I made sure that I find time to just invest in myself and put in that time in the gym. So, with that, here I am.
That's super exciting. So there's a lot we're going to uncover during this interview. I didn't mention it, but this is intern coach Nancy. So she's actually one of our intern coaches here at Mission Viejo Fit Body Boot Camp. We'll touch on that a little bit later. I know you just said you're a fitness enthusiast. This is a fitness podcast. Let's hear about it. What does fitness kind of look like in your life leading up to the time where you found Fit Body? So kind of take me all the way back. Like, hey, did you play sports growing up? What did high school look like, college, and all that, and then all the way up to where we are today?
Oh my gosh. Growing up, I was not into sports. If in fact, I was into dance, ballet. So my mom put me through ballet along with my brother, which, of course, it wasn't too cool when you're like 6 and 7 doing ballet with your sister. But I grew up in the arts in New York City. So exposed to a lot of that cultural part of it. So growing up, it was about that. It wasn't too much about sports. But later on, through my brother, he was into baseball. I got into Little League playing shortstop.
Oh,
So,
fun.
yeah, that was really short lived. But, it was always about the arts, continued that through high school and through choral, and got into college. And I started to just dabble into just taking different type of fitness classes, martial arts, horseback riding, tennis. It was it was during college years that I really started to discover more of the activity and the physical part of just being active.
That's awesome. Yeah, and just kind of unpack that a little bit. So obviously, it sounds like you did like a whole lot. What did like your day to day kind of fitness look like? Were you going like to like a big box gym? Were you just taking those classes like you were talking about? Kind of what did it look like specifically?
Yeah. I mean, I just love fitness in general for so many reasons. And for that, I was always looking for something new.
Hmm.
Big box was definitely in the play, along with small boutiques, like that was focused in, let's say, Pilates or yoga. Anything that I just thought was interesting and fun, I just got right into it.
That's awesome. And I know you said you love fitness for a multitude of reasons. Give me some of those reasons. Like, what are some of the things that you've seen that benefit, or maybe that don't benefit your life from being so fit for pretty much, it sounds like, since you were 6 and doing ballet, you're always kind of active. Like, what are some of the really positive things that you found in staying healthy and fit kind of throughout the course?
I've been really fortunate growing up where my mom was not only talked about just the physical health of being healthy and your wellness, she talked about what you feed into your body, what was nutritious, and really mindful about how you kind of fuel your body. That also tied into your mind, your soul. So with that, when I approach fitness, I think about that in a really holistic level, right? The physicality of it, yes, but also looking at it about the people that's in there, the community, the social aspect, and also about the philosophy that of others that match to what you think is fitness,
Hmm.
right? And that's so important. So when I do look at that, I look at, let's say, Fit Body. I say, well, what is the philosophy of that? And how do they look at fitness as a whole? And so when I came across Fit Body, I thought, let me just dive a little deeper, as I usually do when I look into my fitness journey, dive a little deeper, understand it, and this is the right fit for me.
Hmm. That's awesome. Well, yeah, I'm glad you found Fit Body, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Something I thought was really interesting there. You said your mom taught you from a young age. So it's safe to say that like kind of health was always important in your household, correct?
Right,
So I'm curious, kind of like, what are some of the things that you do in your current household? So I know you got two high schoolers,
right.
typically the age demographic that doesn't like to listen to mom and dad about stuff. What are some of the kind of practices and things that you do around the house to make sure they're, eating healthy, that they're staying active and things like that, especially in today's and age. As I'm sure you know, they're probably glued to their phones whenever they have them, if they do have phones. So just kind of talk us through, because I'm sure there's a lot of people sitting at home, that are moms that have younger kids, that like are having trouble, getting them to eat healthy, or getting them, to stay on a schedule, or getting them to, go out and be active. So what are some of the tips and tricks that you've kind of used in your life?
Yeah, I think that's a just great question. And most parents do struggle with that when it comes to finding ways to put in those nutrition food into their bodies and boost those type of nutrition when they eat, right? So I would say, we all heard about the sneaky spinach, right? We've all heard about just doing the smoothies, but I think ultimately I like to be honest with my kids and have them understand rather than be sneaky to sneak it in, because ultimately I would like them to be able to make good decisions on what they put in their body, whether I'm there or not,
Hmm.
which means that teaching them how to read labels on their food, understanding what's good and what's not good and the why behind it, and understand in terms of your daily intake of food. If you had a McDonald's, that's fine. Let's not punish ourselves. There's moderation in life. But how do you then look at the rest of your day and what are you going to do to balance that, right?
Hmm.
Maybe have a salad or maybe put in a little more vegetables that you like versus eating vegetables that you don't like, right?
Totally.
So those little things I hope that I instill in my kids so they are able to kind of take that with them
Hmm.
as they grow older and maybe not be in my household. Maybe they decide to live on their own and with a roommate that they can make a nutritious meal without
Hmm.
mommy being there to try to sneak in that spinach, right? So that's just short lived. I'm looking for the long term effect and how I can invest in them
Hmm.
so that they can grow in productive, just mindful human beings and how they feed their bodies.
That's awesome. So that's really good. Hopefully, you guys rewind that and rewatch it again. That's a really, really important point. That's something that usually gets missed. And I really love that you said, I don't like to sneak things into their diet. I like to teach them about what they're eating. That's so important and something that not a lot of kids get. I certainly didn't get taught. My parents said, like, hey, you got to eat your vegetables, you got to eat your protein. But they didn't really tell me why. And I never understood why. So I just thought, oh, it's just, the police chief coming down and saying you got to do this, you got to do this, and I'm like, there's no real point. Like, why should I be doing this? Obviously, now as a fitness and fat loss coach, I understand, that like we have to prioritize protein and we can only have so many carbs and so many fats, and that what we eat really makes a big deal. But I never was taught that growing up, so that's really, really important and something I think our audience could take home, even if you're not as well versed as Nancy is. So Nancy is a fitness pro. She's learning the ins and outs. She's been in fitness kind of her whole life. Even if you're not that person, it's still important to teach your kids as best you can. Even just something as simple as like, hey, we got to prioritize, our protein intake. Like, we really got to make sure that, like, hey, with every meal we're having a little bit of protein, because that protein is going to lead to strong muscles. That strong muscles is going to lead to a strong body. That's going to help us lose body fat. Just something as simple as that, just an explanation as to, hey, why we're doing it. Because no one likes to be told something without hearing the why. Everybody
Exactly.
wants to hear the why, which is really, really important. And that's a really awesome takeaway. So thank you so much, Nancy. In terms of like keeping your kids active, what are some of the things that your kids do? Do they play sports? Have you ever encouraged them to do it, or is it something they've kind of done on their own? I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
That's another great question. As a parent, you want to make sure that they have good life lessons along the way that they can pick up from your family, from a parent, right, and lead by example. So Sundays we usually do family bike rides. Nothing too major,
Hmm.
nothing too strenuous. We look at just soft Sunday bike rides. We think about Sunday drives. We
Hmm.
do a Sunday bike ride instead, rather than sitting in the car, right? And likely that when we're in the car, they're on their phone. So if they're on their bike,
Yeah,
they're going to have to pay attention, right?
totally.
So it's a conscious effort to say we're going bike riding. And fortunately, where we live, there's plenty of bike trails to go through. And if they're not into biking, on some days they might feel like taking a hike. That's cool too. We'll take a hike. Um, but we most important is that we just want them to move. And I always say, I'm not looking for you to be a super athlete. What I want you to do is at least put a conscious effort in spending time to move your body.
Definitely.
And that's it.
No, that's great. That's really, really awesome. And I actually really like what you said there. Instead of taking a Sunday drive, take a Sunday bike ride or take a Sunday hike. Even just those little things are really important. So a lot of times we might discount doing just one kind of activity a week.
Oh,
But
for
if
sure.
that activity is happening every time, you think if you go on a hike or a bike ride every Sunday, that's 52 hikes or bike rides a year.
Right.
which is a big difference. And not a lot of people can say they've done 5 hikes in the year or
Right.
5 bike rides in the year. And that's really important. And I love that you've made it kind of like a family thing where it's not like you tell them, hey, you guys go get on your bikes and go ride. It's, hey, we're all going to go do it together. That's
Yes.
setting a really good example. So something I always like to remind our audience, I like to remind our members is the example that you set, especially as a parent, is going to trickle down to the kids. If you set a really bad example, so if you're the kind of person that's eating that McDonald's for
Right.
every meal, if you're the kind of person that doesn't get up, that's always glued to their phone, you can imagine what the kids are going to do because they see you doing it. They're like, that's totally fine. So they're probably going to do the same and or worse because they've never been taught differently. But if they see you getting on the bike, like you and your husband getting on the bikes with them, they're more inclined to, hey, mom and dad are doing it. I'm going to do it too.
Right.
So I think that's really important.
And you're absolutely right. And I say lead by example. We've heard it in so many ways, right? Whether it's a parent, whether you as a brother or your relationship to the other person. But I have to tell you, I mentioned earlier that born and raised or from New York
Hmm.
and into the arts. But one thing, again, is that the physicality of it was that I didn't know how to ride a bike. I didn't know how to swim. Though I went to the pool often, I didn't actually had swimming lessons, knowing how to swim. So it wasn't until I moved to California about 11 years ago
Hmm.
that I learned to bike and I learned to swim. And I said, gosh, how embarrassing it is for me not to know how to ride a bike when my kids are learning, right? So so I learned to ride a bike along with my 4-year-old at the
Oh,
time.
that's so fun.
And it was scary
Yeah.
because now you're older and you're thinking, gosh, if I fall, what does that look like? When you're 4 years old and you fall, you don't think much about it, right? But I said to myself, what, Nancy, get on that bike, just do it because he's watching you. Max is watching you. And it's okay if you fall, you just get right back up, right? So that was my lesson to just show some grit and it's okay. This is something that they will see and they're going to understand somewhere along the way. It's okay to try and fail. You just get right back up. So, and the same with swimming.
Hmm.
I didn't go in with floaties, but I did take an adult swim class. And I said, yo, there's so many other people like me who don't know how to swim,
Yeah.
and it's okay. So I said, get in there. If you're looking for something you're interested in doing, do it.
100%.
You never know if you don't try it.
Yeah, 100%. Wow, that's really, really awesome stuff. And being a Southern California boy myself, we are blessed to say the least
Yes.
out here. So obviously, growing up, there's absolutely no excuse for not getting outside. I've had plenty of Christmases that I spend at the beach. So
Oh
it's
wow.
not like I just had an interview a couple months ago with Lauren, who grew up in Alaska, and she said, got down to -30 in the wintertime. Never had to experience that.
Mm,
Our winters are harsh. It gets about 55 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, there's absolutely no excuse for anybody sitting at home. Most of you guys are probably in Orange County, California, watching this podcast. Get out there, go enjoy the sunshine, do it with your kids too. That's really important and it's really, really awesome. And that is something that I did growing up as well. My family, a lot of times, we would go take the bike. My mom's favorite thing to do was go walk around the lake here in Rancho Santa Margarita. And we'd go and we'd see how many times we could ride our bikes around the lake, like before my mom finished one lap around the lake,
yes.
kind of thing. It was so much fun. So it's really, really awesome. And I'm glad we've gotten a good kind of sense and a good baseline of kind of what your fitness has looked like, what your fitness and what your family life kind of looks like.
Coach Bryce here. Now, you might know me as the co host of this podcast and the owner of Mission Viejo Fit Body. But what many people don't know is that began my fitness journey as a fitness transformation. Now, you see, circuit training and nutrition coaching absolutely changed my life after being overweight with a diet of mainly fast food in my late teens. Now, upon my fitness transformation in early 2007, yes, I gained a much better physique as I was overweight and I lacked lean muscle. But way more than burning fat and building lean muscle, I increased my self-confidence, my energy, and my vibrancy to live life on life's terms. Now, it's for these reasons that many people join our boot camp. Now, in fact, with our Ultimate Transformation Program, we guarantee, yes, guarantee, that you'll lose at least 10 pounds within 6 weeks, or your program is free until you do. Now, go ahead and visit our website at missionviejofitbody.com. Now, thanks, and back to the show.
Now let's kind of transition. Something really, really awesome that we do here at Fit Body Boot Camp here in Mission Viejo is we do an internship process. So I know everyone kind of thinks the word intern, you think of somebody going to get coffee, you think of someone picking up dry cleaning, the kind of like the general sense of the word intern. What we do here is we have intern coaches. So what we do is we have a 12-week step-by-step program. We bring people on as an intern coach, no matter who you are, no matter what your fitness level is. You might have a master's degree in kinesiology or anything like that. You start as an intern because we want those first 12 weeks to really get you the baseline of what Fit Body Bootcamp is specifically. Because at the end of the day, you can be the world's best personal trainer, but we're not just doing one-on-one personal training here at Fit Body Bootcamp. We're doing group training. So we're doing training to the masses. So there's sometimes, like you've seen the last couple of weeks in the 8:15 session, there's been 36, 37 people just in one session alone. And you got to be able to manage that and kind of getting what the Fit Body philosophy is and all that. And I'm going to let you kind of unpack the box here in a second, but it's a really, really awesome program. You're almost toward the end. So you're in your last couple of weeks at the time of filming. I'm sure when this comes out, she'll be Coach Nancy. She'll be rocking and rolling on the mats. But as for right now, she's still intern Coach Nancy. Can you talk to me just a little bit, kind of like one, how you found the program, how you found our internship program, and then two, just kind of talk me through like what does it look like? What are some of the things that you've learned? Are you enjoying the program, and just kind of just talk me through the whole experience?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, gosh, I mentioned earlier that I'm always looking for something new,
Mm-hmm.
right? Fitness journey in itself is not linear, right? There's so many facets involved, and as we evolve through our life cycle, it's the same thing with our fitness journey. What interests us, what we're looking for, and during that process, I would say about early on this year, that was my thought. I said, okay, it's the new year. I've done this and I've done that. What else is there? What's out there for me? And that's when I started to look into, I said, social media, asking questions, talking to those in my fitness community. And I came across Fit Body Bootcamp just through Instagram, actually. And as you know, the algorithm is there,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it popped up, and I said, "Oh, this is interesting, and this is local." And and I said, let me just email, right, and figure out what this is about. And it was through conversation and just asking questions that this internship came up. And I said, well, wait a second, why not me?
Yeah.
What makes it any different that an intern is age based, let's say, because there's that connotation and image or just thought that an intern is of a certain profile,
Yeah,
right?
usually like
And
18,
it's
19
not.
years old, like fresh out of high school,
Right.
kind of, yeah, the intern trope for sure.
Exactly. And I said, you know what? Um, Life is a journey. It's about learning. And if I'm interested in this, and I've always wanted to do something in fitness, aside from just being in financial services, is what I do full time. Why can't I do this? Why not? I've learned so much through the years of my fitness journey, and I can share what I've learned as well. And through that, I was talking to Tatiana,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a great conversation with her. And she says, give it a try. I came in, did the interview, right? You guys had given me some materials to just kind of walk through the interview process. And quite honestly, the process itself has been so rewarding. I've learned so much in just the interview. And onboarding itself and going through the modules, what I love about FitBody, I'm not alone in this journey. Through the internship, I thought, well, I'm just going to have to go ahead and figure it out. And it's not at all. um, UJ, Coach John, Bryce, Tatiana, Coach Jeremy, even Coach Taylor, they've been so supportive in terms of just my journey in when it comes to learning the community, how things are done, the delivery, how to coach a large group, how to coach a smaller group, how to work the mic, how to be a floor coach. There's so many different components, and I'm still learning. Though you mentioned I'm at the tail end of my 12 weeks, and I still feel like, gosh, you're gonna say that I'm a coach. I still feel like I'm learning. I don't know, but still feel like I'm an intern. But I thought to myself, you know what? This in itself is a learning process, right? Just because someone is a coach doesn't mean they stop learning, just like
Mm-hmm.
life, right? You continue to learn. I think one of the great things about Fit Body Bootcamp is the supportive community, not only from the leadership standpoint, but also from the member
Yeah,
standpoint.
100%. No, definitely. A lot to unpack there. That's really
Yes.
awesome. And I'm really happy to hear that you're having such a great experience and that we're like supporting you in the way that you need. But also, just in full transparency, I've almost been a coach here at Fit Body Bootcamp for 9 years. I'm coming up on my 9-year anniversary shortly. I still have a lot to learn. There's always still something to learn. Sometimes I even get
Yes.
that imposter syndrome when it's like, yes, I'm the head coach of the facility, but it's like, but like, do I really know everything? It's a totally normal feeling. And it's been awesome getting you onboarded and getting you into, and I've seen the growth. So yeah, Nancy from week 1 to Nancy now in week 9 or 10 that we're in currently is completely different. Like you've grown in leaps and bounds. So wanted to give you some accolades for that because you've
Thank
done
you.
such an awesome job. But I think it all comes down to your willingness to learn. Because a lot of times when we get interns, they come in, yes, they go through the modules, yes, they kind of do the homework, they do the stuff, but they're not really avidly trying to learn. They're not avidly asking questions. They're not avidly asking for feedback. That's something very rare in an intern, which I think in the younger crowd. So if we had an 18-year-old intern like we've had in the past, a lot of times those are the kind of age ranges that aren't good about either giving or receiving feedback. And you've grown up and and you've lived in the corporate world and things. I'm sure you've gotten a lot of your fair share of feedback. I'm sure you've given it. I'm sure you've received it, and you do really well with it. And I think that's what's really helped you kind of grow leaps and bounds over somebody that might have been like a much younger intern. So I think that's really, really awesome. Um, but keep on talking, because I heard a little point in there that you said like the community among the members. What are some of the things kind of like that you've gotten just from seeing our members? What are some of the things that that you can see in the members that's making their lives better coming to Fit Body Bootcamp? Because a lot of people watching this at home probably aren't going to be interns or coaches, but they might be potential Fit Body members. So what are some of the things that you've kind of noticed in your short time here that benefit our clients?
Sure, absolutely. You know, for those who've gone to different gyms, the big box gyms and even the boutiques, right? Um, that they've got what their mission and purpose is, and that's fantastic. What I thought was fantastic about Fit Body Bootcamp is that we're not looking to build an athlete,
Hmm.
right? You're going pro or anything like that. We're addressing the everyday man and woman, right? And understanding the challenges that we come across when it comes to finding time to put wellness in ourselves and invest in ourselves, along with just putting on that many different hats outside after our 30-minute workout,
Hmm.
right? Recognizing that, the importance of movement and the importance of the exercise that we do and the functionality that ties into our daily life. And I really resonate with that because as I age, I'm looking for a community that understands the importance of the exercise that we do and able to recognize our limitations or our mobility that
Hmm.
changes as well. So when I'm coaching and I'm speaking with our members and they're just sharing with me what they're going through, I absolutely understand where they're coming from. And I think that for me, that benefit that I have to understand, that passion and compassion as well, has enabled me to be the, I guess, the development coach that I am now and giving back and adding value to what they look to accomplish.
Hmm.
So for instance, the Mr. and Mrs. Jones, right? When they're doing their banded planks, there's a reason why they're doing it. They're working out those muscles that when they go ahead and need to lift or clean or move things for the son or the daughter who is going away to college, they're not going to sprain their back. They're not going to tweak something because they've already been doing those movements that's been helping them strengthen. So I've been to other, I guess, workout classes,
Hmm.
right? They don't explain that.
Yeah.
You go through the motion of just doing your reps. They're going through the motion of just hitting your numbers. And it's not about that here. It's about understanding why you do it and why you want to do it better.
100%. Yeah, no, and functional fitness really is the most important kind of fitness because, like you said, I'm not training somebody to push a sled or go tackle somebody on the football field. That's not what I'm training people for. I'm training Mrs. Jones for, like you said, being able to put something on that top shelf. Like
Yeah,
I'm training Mrs. Jones to be able to pick up her son or her grandson or whoever it
right.
is. Those are the things without hurting themselves. Because a lot of times in life, when we do hurt ourselves, more often than not, it's going to be doing something that isn't super strenuous. So you're probably
Right.
not going to hurt yourself, like picking up a couch or something, like because you probably aren't going to be doing that. But like it might be something simple, like hey, you drop your keys and you go to pick it up and you round out your back and you reach down and then all of a sudden like oh you threw your back out or something.
Right.
Like that's where it's more likely to happen. And that's why the goal here is like hey we're training functional moves and we're doing it in quick pace so it can fit within your schedule. And I'm really really glad to hear like I said, that you're seeing that benefit like with our clients. But also too, something that I kind of want to unpack just a little bit is just the fact that you are probably a little closer in age to Mrs. Jones than someone like me, someone like Coach Taylor, who's 18 years old. Um, Now I'm curious, just kind of like, just if you can kind of unpack this just a little bit more. So a lot of times, what happens is whenever there is a fitness coach, like myself, I started when I was 19. Typically, what will happen is like I'll show someone, hey, these are the exercises that you guys are doing today, and they'll be like, "Oh, Jake, you can only do that because you're young."
Mm,
That's always the excuse. Is like you're just young, you don't know, you don't have
mm,
bad knees, you don't get it, you don't
right.
understand. And even though on a conceptual level, yes, I do understand it, I don't know what it's like to have had kids. I don't know what it's like getting past like a really severe injury. Like those are some of the things that I don't know. So have you felt? that you can connect with those members just on that base alone. Because a lot of times, like moms want to hear from other moms. They don't want to hear from the 20-something-year-old like in shape guy. So just if you could unpack that just a little bit, I'd really be really curious to hear about it.
Yeah, and I've been able to use that, I guess, my life experience in this part to benefit what I do and what I give back
Hmm.
to the members, right? And sharing that part of me has enabled me to make that connection with the members and allow us to also have a more open dialogue about, let's be honest here, right? I've got a shoulder injury from doing something that I probably overloaded on, right? I tweaked something.
Hmm.
And I can certainly share that with Mr. and Mrs. Jones when they've got that shoulder injury too. And how do I move through that? And how do I share that experience and let them know? Well, we might not be able to do this particular exercise, but let's just do an adjustment so that we recognize the limitation for now. And as you grow stronger, we can certainly move and evolve that movement to the next level, right? And that's I think that's very important for them to understand that. Just because you can't now doesn't mean that you can't later. We just need to recognize what it is happening at this moment.
Yeah, 100%. That's really awesome and insightful stuff. Kind of to wrap it all up together. So I'm curious if you had, I'm going to ask you for two pieces of
Yeah.
advice. The first is going to be for a Mrs. Jones that's sitting at home, maybe a current situation that you were in, where you've always wanted to work in fitness. You weren't sure. You've spent your life in the corporate world. Like you've always loved working out, but you weren't sure if like you could be the one to lead the fitness sessions or anything like that. What advice would you give that Mrs. Jones that is thinking about joining the fitness space, isn't sure? What's some advice that you would give to her?
I would say my motto is embrace the uncomfortable. If something is uncomfortable, that would mean that to me, that means that you should be doing it, right? We're always looking at the easy way usually, right?
Hmm.
There's two paths, the easy path or the longer path that's just a little more rough, has a little more bumps. Usually the one with a little more bumps is going to give you a little more challenge, but that just means that it's going to be an opportunity to grow. You're going to learn, you're going to grow, and when you come out the other side, you're going to feel so much stronger, not just physically. I'm talking about the soul, right? Your spirit, your mind, the whole body mind connection is there. So I say, if you're uncomfortable and you're not feeling good about that, chances are you probably want to go ahead and try it because you're just going to come out stronger in the other side.
Definitely. And my second piece is going to be, what advice would you give to someone that is Mrs. Jones? She's sitting at home. She probably has 20, 30 pounds to lose, probably has some kids, probably has a busy schedule. Maybe she works full time. And she has always been scared and always has used excuses like, I don't have the time. I just can't do it. I hear this a lot. Like, I see other people losing weight. I can't do it. What's some advice that you would give to her to get her up and get her to make that change?
Yeah, wow. There's so many messages that goes through my mind on that. And I say, we spend more energy saying, talking through the nose than giving ourselves the benefit of the yes, right? So with that, we don't get from A to Z without going through the B, C, D, and
Hmm.
E, right? So I say, forget about comparing yourself to any other person because this journey is for you and you only, right? This is you versus you. And just as how we're in a session and there's 50 people, 40 people, or even 5 people in there, don't mind what's happening next to you, right or left. Mind what's happening with you.
Hmm.
Because those 1 reps, 2 reps, those reps going to lead you to the bigger picture. So I say, look what's in front of you, take care of yourself, invest in yourself, and next thing you know, when you do look back, you can say, wow, those little steps that I took really brought me to where I am. You're going to really appreciate that at that point. And this journey is not a journey that you walk alone at
Hmm.
all. There's a lot of people in your community, especially in the fit body community, that are so supportive, the members as well as the coaches. So, give yourself that grace to go ahead and try it out, and give yourself that grace also that if you didn't do it today or not planning to do it today, then try tomorrow
Hmm.
because it's a new day tomorrow, right? Your slate is clean. Give yourself that time.
That's awesome, Nancy. Thank you so much. I think this is really impactful for a lot of different reasons. So thank you so much for taking the time out today to
Absolutely.
come sit down with me. If you guys got value from this episode, please be sure to like, comment, and share. Also, too, if you've been sitting at home and you've been always thinking about joining the fitness space, maybe you've always had that kind of itch, you want to help people, but you don't know how you're going to do that, reach out to a Fit Body Bootcamp in your area, whether it's here in Mission Viejo or anywhere across the nation. We have Fit Body locations all over the place. Reach out and see if they have their internships available, because I can't tell you how much it's going to change your life. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.